So I think I had a bit of a different experience than some of the people who come here and study at the institute because I had worked for quite some time. I already had a master's degree from Columbia University. I went to SIPA before. And I had worked for a while, and I was working at the World Economic Forum. And I'd sort of danced around economics. But at some point, I said to myself, okay, time to get serious. I'm going to really go back and study economics. And I was living in Geneva, and I decided to come to the Institute for that. And it was an incredible experience. The Graduate Institute has always been an amazing school. And I think, I mean, first of all, the cost benefit analysis is very attractive compared to some of the other schools at the Graduate Institute. But I think mainly it's that interdisciplinarity that's really important here for such a small school where the focus is very much on teaching, right, rather than research. I'm not saying that the professors don't do very good research as well, but the focus on teaching is very important. Back when I was here, it was very much known in Geneva and in Switzerland, and a bit among academics especially. And so one thing that's happened is that it's become a lot more of a practical school, which I think is extremely important. One thing that's similar is that it was always multi-sectoral in a way, multi-topical. We always had to take courses in other areas, in other disciplines, and I think the multidisciplinarity is extremely important today. So many of the programs, like the MINT program, are actually looking to prepare people to work in the international sphere. And again, that interdisciplinarity is important there because you can't solve the world's problems with just one discipline. I was so excited to have all these brilliant professors, Richard Baldwin, for example, who were there just to answer my questions. And so that was wonderful. I did a second master's for that, so I had to do economics because my first one was not in economics. And then I went on to do my PhD. And it really was very fundamental, I think, to my career because after that, sort of after I finished the coursework, I took over, sort of the nascent economics team at the World Economic Forum. We were a relatively small organization at the time and growing. And over the years, I grew into becoming the chief economist. And that would not have been possible, I don't think, if I had not had a PhD from the Institute. I remember distinctly. So I had gone back to school. I was working between part-time and full-time. I kind of vacillated. And I was working on my PhD. And for part of the time, frankly, I didn't have time because I was, working so much. And then I had a baby and, my first child. So that made it really quite challenging. But I kept sort of plodding along. And Richard Baldwin was my advisor. And I felt like, okay, I still have so much more to do. I've done only 2 of my chapters and I needed a third. This is going to take forever. And I went to his office and sat down with him. And I remember him saying to me, well, you're done. And I said, well, what do you mean that I'm done? I still have a whole third chapter to do or a whole third article. And he said, no, no, no. The second one, that's 2 articles. You split it in half. And it's true. It took me another 6 months to finish. But I remember kind of walking out of his office and just feeling like I was walking on air. I remember I went to the Villa Barton and I brought a bottle of champagne. And it was during the day, and my external advisor came and we, they asked me all the questions and went through it. It was very nice, actually. And I remember I'd driven there and, I already had a baby at home that I had to get back to. And so I had this bottle of champagne, and it was, I don't know, maybe not even lunchtime, and nobody really wanted to drink. I opened it because I felt like I should open it, but then nobody was going to sort of drink the champagne. So I brought it to the secretary office, which used to be upstairs in the Villa Barton, and I think that they were very happy. I think it was like a well, it was going to be a Friday afternoon, so then they would be able to drink it. But after I left there, it was incredible, that feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm really done. Like, I'm really, because when you're working on a PhD, you feel like something's hanging over you all the time,
Yeah, you
you
have to
know.
get ignorance.
I decided to focus on development economics. I see myself very much as a development economist. And after the World Economic Forum, I went on to the African Development Bank. I was based in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, for a while. And there I was responsible for a big chunk of the bank's sort of lending and programmatic work, many different of the sectors. And again, I think when I analyze what I do, again, sort of the red thread is that certainly what I learned here at the Institute was very important for that. So since then, I just say I have been very devoted to the Institute. I think this is an amazing school, and I was on the alumni committee for many years. I was the president of the alumni committee for a couple of years. I worked as the faculty lead for trade and finance for a year, and now I'm the chair of the board of the Ferris Foundation, which is the external foundation that handles funds that come into the Institute to pay for chairs, professorships, or different student bourses. And now I'm here right now because I'm teaching part of a course taught by alumni to the school. We do this every 2 years. We all have PhDs from the Institute, and most of them are from the IMF and a few other organizations, and we're looking at developing countries, and I am teaching my part on making development finance work. Again, sort of bringing, my whole story together to date. And the quality of the students I'm always very impressed by, because I do teach once in a while, and then I'm really, again, impressed by the students. The other thing is really International Geneva. If you want to work in international affairs of some sort, whether it's on the economics, trade, or other aspects, want to work in NGOs, development, or international law, really all of it, humanitarian, you've got it all here at your fingertips. This is a challenging time right now for international folks, I guess, with some of the changes that are happening politically. But here's still where it all happens, I think, in many ways.